So the first part of selling anything is understanding marketing, right? I know some of you are like, I don't want to be a marketer. Okay, again, it's not about you being a marketer. It's about you understanding some of the key techniques and triggers and things like that that tell you when something is happening or how to make something happen when you're trying to sell your house, right? And there's a few key concepts in marketing, and one of them is scarcity, one of them is frenzy, and one of them is having a unique selling proposition, or what's unique about your property, right? So let's kind of talk about each of those. Scarcity. If you take a look at the real estate market, at least at the time of this recording, man, there's so few homes that are available that when you say, hey, come and buy my house, a lot of times, if it's priced right, you end up just getting buyers to show up and make offers right away, and you end up selling the house, and that's a good thing. But when you're using it scarcity the right way, you have a lot more buyers. Or if the market is flat or slowing down or something like that, you still have to use these tools to make sure that you're getting the best price. So scarcity in this case. So watch this. I want you to see the difference in something that a lot of times we share with people that have these houses that they need to sell. Here's an example. We were talking to, I think she was 82-year-old woman, and she's lived in her house. She was the original owner from 1964. There was a crack in the foundation. The termite damage was extensive, and she, things that were not updated in 25 years or more. The kitchen and the bath were original. So, flooring. She did a little bit of flooring. She painted a few times. So when she wanted to market it, she ended up hiring a real estate agent, right? And the comparables for that particular property was somewhere in the $1.2 million range at the time. When she put it on the market, it was written with a description that said, beautiful home in a great neighborhood, and you'll love raising your kids here, or whatever, right? It was a very fluffy description of the property. People would show up and they would have an expectation of the of this whole beautiful home, ready, kind of in their mind, ready to move in, kind of thing. And they show up and they're like, "What the heck is going on?" Okay, and so from that perspective, there's no scarcity involved whatsoever, because there's other homes to choose from that are way better than hers. On the other hand, watch this. This is great. When you change the script, and this is hard to get her to understand, but when we changed the script for her and we told her, we said, you know what? Look, you have to understand something. You don't have a comparable home in this neighborhood. The other homes that are selling are fixed up. They've been rehabbed. They've been updated, right? You don't have that. And she was very onerous, and she was like, well, what's wrong with my house? There's nothing wrong with my house. I've been living here forever, and it's a great house. And it's like, yeah, it's fantastic. You live here, and you're used to things. Nobody on this planet is going to walk into this house and go, wow, nice Formica countertops. Love that, right? So when I convinced her, I said, look, you need to change it up, and you need to use an actual description that will create this scarcity of being a unique property. It kind of does those things simultaneously, the uniqueness and all stuff. And when she put it back on the market, she put it in with the description of worst house in the best neighborhood, totally needs to be updated and remodeled and rehabbed and this and that and everything, right? So now we're creating a totally different message. Nobody else in the neighborhood, nobody in the whole city, or even surrounding cities for that matter, when, as I recall when we were looking at it, were promoting any property like that. Even other fixer-uppers, they weren't promoting it like that. And so what this did was it made everybody suddenly turn and look. Hey, wow, okay, that's different. That is something unique. Therefore, There's not many to choose like that. And one of the rules that they say about real estate is location, 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 right? This house is an amazing location, in a great neighborhood. The other thing that, they say about real estate is, if you can, buy the worst house in the best neighborhood, because you can always fix up the house, but you can't move the house to a better neighborhood, right? This caught a lot of people's attention, but this is where we kick in the frenzy part of it. Most agents, if you look at the real estate guidelines, the rules that they have with their multiple listing services, I know at least here in Orange County, California, the MLS that's here, they have a rule. It says within 1 day of signing a listing contract, it has to be put into the multiple listing service. Well, that's garbage. That's garbage. And of course, we're talking about the retail side of things. But that's garbage, because what ends up happening is you get a lot of agents who they're pushed under the gun, and they go and they take pictures with their phone, mediocre pictures, and then quickly write a description, and then they upload it to the MLS, and there's nothing exciting about that. It's like, okay, there's another property, okay? But what we instructed them to do is we said, look, you're going to make a special agreement that says that you do not want the property marketed for, I forget what it was, 10 days, something like that. And so what they did was they put it in the multiple listing service as a coming soon status, and they ended up putting the first open house, no offers will be accepted prior to the open house. They did the first open house, and they ended up doing it 10 days later. As a result, they had 50 people waiting outside the front of the house to get into the house. They wanted to see it first because they want the worst house in the best neighborhood. In the end, she ended up selling it for over the $1.2 million. It was amazing. Okay. Now, had she called the cash offer option, what would have happened is a cash buyer would have showed up, and they would have said, oh, yeah, sure, it's worth $1.2 million fixed up, but it's got $300,000 worth of repairs, updates and repairs and fixing up and foundation and all this stuff. And they would have given her 70% of that $1.2 million. And then they would have also tried to deduct any repairs and updates in it. So she would have walked out of there with $500,000. Instead of walking out with that $1.2 million. Now, as a cash seller, you go, okay, well, I just want to do this with cash. I don't want to list it with an agent right now. Okay, fine. But it's the same thing. What you need to do is you take that property and you say, okay, look, I'm going to put it out in places where it's going to be seen. But it's not going to be available for a certain period of time. And you say, like let's say you're going to put it in Craigslist, or if you can still list it on Zillow. They're constantly changing what you can and can't put on there. Different, other sites and things like that will allow you to market these properties. And you put it out there and you say, we're going to, this house is going to be available to view on, put it out several days. We're looking for a cash offer. House needs to be updated. It's out of date. It's totally in disrepair, or maybe it's not even, right? Maybe it's in great shape. But you start doing your own marketing in the area where you're saying, we're going to be making it available soon, but not until not for at least a week or something like that, until you get a bunch of good marketing. And it could be anything. What kind of marketing could you do? You could have a sign in your yard. Definitely put a sign in your yard saying, hey, this house will be available, for sale by owner on this particular date, right? First best offer wins, right? Something like that. You can go put signs around the neighborhood on telephone poles wherever that's allowed, or you can invest in, have some signs made that you can go put out on street corners saying, available, coming next week kind of thing, right? But you got to put it out there. And a lot of the places that investors will look is they'll look on places like Craigslist, or there's other like forum sites or Marketplace on Facebook, that sort of thing. Okay, so this is understanding kind of that frenzy and scarcity and unique selling proposition aspect of getting your house sold. If you get those, you're already on the right track, because now you're going to start moving into, making sure that you know what you should expect when it comes time to sell your house. Let's move on to the next section.